Howdy, 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 my name's Anachi Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. Before we begin, I want to make a comment about the last episode of the SCP Sidestep. The day after I posted that, the next episode of Confinement came out. I could not possibly have timed that worse, but it's not like I can see the future. If I could see the future, I would be a rich man and not live where I live. But yeah, so the next episode of SCP Sidestep will cover the other half of Confinement, since it came out right after that. But in the meantime, I believe last episode we read The Bloody Key, The Replacement, The Theft, Anarchist's Folly, and An Important Letter. And the reason I believe this is because I remember The Bloody Key and The Anarchist's Folly and The Important Letter, but not The Thirst or The Replacement. So in this episode, we're going to be reading Exit, Suspiciously Clean Code, the Glass Seismograph, the Basic Set, Basic, and Encyclopedia of Diseases. So let's check out that Dere Exit. Is it safe? Oh, yep, it's safe. Okay, so no special containment procedures are needed at this time. All instances of 1021 are currently in use in various sites and facilities. What's today? It's 1022. Dang. In use in various sites and facilities. For a complete list, see addendum. Description: 1021 is a set of 7 exit signs designed in art modern dating back to the 1940s. The anomalous effect will only manifest if it is placed directly over a door made of solid wood. Type and design may vary, but the door must be solid with no trappings, example windows. I assume EX dot means example. Maybe it's just a shorter way of saying such as, any person opening a door with 1021 over it will find themselves exiting out of a corresponding exit of the blank cinema in somewhere Michigan. Or Missouri. Is that Michigan or is that Missouri? Each side of 1021 belongs to a specific door in the cinema, with the main entrance being the only door without a connection. SCP-1021 was discovered when a self-described architecture buff visited the blank cinema before its demolition in order to study its design and found a souvenir. According to the witness, the only thing left was a box of exit signs by the main entrance labeled DUMP. Enamored by their old-style design, he claimed to liberate one for use at home, adorning his bathroom door as a joke. Upon entering his bathroom, he found himself behind the blank cinema, exiting from the delivery entrance. The subsequent internet postings were found by Foundation computer search algorithms, and an agent was dispatched to investigate. Upon learning the story and viewing its anomalous properties himself, the agent called for backup to the cinema. It was then purchased by the Foundation through the Scenic Cultural Places Association. Once again, they keep naming their cover stuff SCP. You would think they'd be more original than this. They've got a lizard that can't die in a basement somewhere, and they can't think of a better name than something that still has SCP in it. Anyway, it's an organization dedicated to buying and restoring old and unusual buildings, supposedly. After administering a Class B amnestic to the witness, all the exit signs were taken and, through study, were found to correspond to a door within the blank cinema. The cinema itself has no history of unusual occurrences, though a small security detail to remain for 1 month and secure the building. Due to its safe class nature and usefulness, all instances of 1021 have been set up in various Foundation sites to act as an emergency exit, and the blank cinema has been renovated to act as an evacuation command area where Foundation staff may seek refuge. The evacuation points in all sites must be kept in a clear area guarded by Level 3 security staff, in order to prevent its misuse as a method of smuggling SCPs out of their home sites. Addendum: list of 1021 assigned locations and corresponding door. Site 19, exterior exit of Theater 2. Site 4, exterior exit of Theater 3. Site 11, exterior exit of Theater 1. SCPS Guardian, delivery entrance. SCPS Defender, lobby emergency exit. It used to say Dr. Bright's closet, and now it's unassigned request made through Dr. Corey, alleyway employee entrance. And access denied, so it's probably the administrator's office. Not the administrator, the other ones. The overseer's office. I don't know. Next up is the suspiciously clean coat, which is also safe. 1022, it's 1022 today. May be contained on a clothes rack within a standard secure item locker. Warning labels are to be affixed to prevent confusion with similar attire in use by Foundation personnel. Used to say completion of a comprehensive psychiatric evaluation and the mandatory 1022 orientation course is required for staff who wish to utilize 1022. Now it says, after the events of Incident 1, which is probably in here, use of 1022 is restricted to disposable dues borrowing approval by level 4 personnel. So it's probably safe since it's just a jacket, but it's an SCP because it probably does something terrible. SCP-1022 is a white cotton polyester laboratory coat in size M. It has no identifying marking save for a printed label on the inside collar reading Dr. E something, its original owner. All surfaces of 1022 are resistant to microbial colonization. Okay. Introduced microorganisms fail to reproduce and subsequently die. It thus remains sterile, save in the immediate period after contact with a colonized surface. Let's see. While no direct link is suspected between the two objects, SCP-791's anomalous sterility manifests in a similar manner. The physical properties of 1022 are otherwise unremarkable. When a subject wears 1022, they are able to perceive prokaryotic organisms, primarily bacteria, but Archaea may also be visualized by 1022 in the environment at greatly increased magnification, which persists indefinitely even after the removal. Let's find out what that is, because I don't know what that is. Another term for archaebacteria. Archaea constitute a domain of single-celled organisms. These microorganisms are prokaryotes and have no cell nucleus. They were initially classified as bacteria, receiving the name that, but the classification is outmoded. Whatever that means. And how does it sound? Archaea. Okay, cool. Learn how to pronounce. You just said it to me! I'm pretty sure that counts as learning how to pronounce it. The visual effect is comparable to that of a light microscope on a high power setting, 1000x, with the result that most organisms visible appear 1 to 5.5 where did I get 0.5 from? 1 to 5 millimeters in length or diameter. The effect is not cumulative with magnification apparatus. Use of light microscopy will not enlarge organisms, although the subject is able to use more powerful magnification techniques such as electron microscopy as normal. Organisms on the surface of the eye are not visible, but organisms on spectacles or contact lenses are, leading to obscured vision in users of these and the inconvenience of constant sterilization for normal vision. Organisms observed by the subject are accurate magnifications, mobile, and may be observed to grow, reproduce, and bioluminesce where possible. Physical properties of the organisms themselves are unaffected. While with appropriate microbiology training, subjects have proved to be capable of distinguishing and classifying organisms accurately. Only prokaryotic cells are visible. Eukaryotic cells, am I even saying this right? I assume so. And non-living objects are not magnified. Experimentation with viruses is underway pending preparation of a suitable subject and testing environment. It is presumed that only the largest viruses, less than 400 whatever that is, would be visible, and the subject will require above normal visual acuity. All non-sterile surfaces, including living beings, will appear to the subject as though coated in organisms with density proportional to the level of contamination on the surface. On sufficiently colonized surfaces, less than 10,000 organisms per centimeter squared, a three-dimensional layer of organisms up to 10 centimeters in height has been observed. This is strictly a visual effect and may be passed through without result, apart from the normal possibility of microbiological contamination when in contact with the surface. 1022 is a risk for psychopathology in exposed subjects. After experiencing the effects of 1022, subjects may develop anxiety or obsessive-compulsive traits. Unsurprisingly, abnormal cleaning habits are dominant, anorexia, and socially isolating behaviors. Other manifestations are less common. The pattern of these symptoms is variable between subjects and dependent on factors such as personality traits, underlying psychopathology, occupation, and educational level. High threshold for disgust in biomedical education have been noted to be protective. 1022 related psychopathology may be treated by standard methods involving cognitive behavioral therapy to reinforce the harmless and normal nature of the visions, in conjunction with anxiolytic medication. I assume it's just medicine to help with anxiety. Let's double check. Yep, a drug used to reduce anxiety. How do I say it? Anxiolytic is how the Google guy said it. Oh, it's a different... Okay. Addendum 1. While data on long-term exposure is scarce, some subjects have reported developing further abnormal sensations after 3 months at a minimum of experiencing 1022's effect. These include abnormal tactile inputs, crawling sensations, the feeling of organisms jumping from surfaces to the subject, and data expunged. One subject, D1022-5A9, reported mild feelings of discomfort in the throat, chest, and abdomen for which no medical cause could be found. Further observation is required. Presently, the development of these is considered harmless and only indicates medication as necessary. Addendum 2. Ability of subjects to cope with 1022 exposure in the long term was confirmed by experiment 1022-5A. That person from the last test, male 34, Eastern European, relevant background as emergency medical technician, successfully adapted to the effect and retains normal function and mental stability after blank months, requiring only fortnightly psychological support and no medication. Dr. H submitted a request to have D1022-5A1 assigned to the site blank microbial laboratory as an assistant. This was approved, and Dr. H reports 1022-5A1 has been a useful resource for the research team. Okay, so it's not A9, it's A1. Subsequently, a number of proposals have been made for expanded use of 1022 for both disposable personnel and Foundation staff involved in sterile environment medical work or containment of biologically hazardous objects such as redacted. Expanded use on D-Class, crossed out staff volunteers, is approved post-completion of a proposal demonstrating value of 1022's effects and subjects' duties with the Foundation, a comprehensive psychiatric evaluation, and the 1022 orientation course at Site Blank involving 2 weeks of education sessions in isolation in rooms designed to simulate 1022's effects, using a combination of video technology and paper cutouts. These prerequisites are not mandatory for D-Class personnel, but are recommended for research and data collection purposes. Note, on January the 15th, 2000-something, use of 1022 on personnel has been suspended following Incident 1. Use of disposable dues may continue, but caution is advised. So what's that there incident, eh? Dr. A, a level 3 member of the Site Blank medical staff, was an early volunteer for use of 1022 and approved after completing the requirements. He responded well to the effects and was functional and mentally stable after blank weeks with psychological treatment and anxiety medicine. On January the 14th, Agent R was sent to Site Blank Medical Facility after experiencing bouts of abdominal pain, diagnosed as acute appendicitis. As Dr. A entered the operating theater, he became highly agitated, administered a lethal dose of anesthetic to Agent R, and called a level 1 biohazard emergency warning. Appropriate protocols were initiated, and the site and personnel were decontaminated, which revealed no remarkable pathogens. Agent R's remains were autopsied and it found to be normal, save a confirmation of the appendicitis diagnosis. The pathogens involved were normal intestinal flora. Agent R was previously healthy and had no record of exposure to major biohazards. Dr. A was placed into custody but remained agitated and uncooperative, demanding the incineration of Agent R's remains and further decontamination of the site. Interrogation demonstrated his belief in an undefined SCP-level biohazardous contaminant of Agent R, necessitating the neutralization of Site Blank and non-essential personnel. Site Blank remains operational with no ill effects to date, and Dr. A has been detained indefinitely. Following this incident, use of 1022 on Foundation personnel has been suspended, and all subjects exposed placed under closer surveillance. Addendum 3. 1022-5A1 has reported auditory hallucinations of squirming sounds. Reassurance was given and he's been started on a low dose of anxiety medicine. Okie dokie. Suspiciously clean indeed. The Glass Seismograph. It's also safe. SCP-1023 is to be kept within a 1 by 1 meter lead-lined steel box to be stored at Site Research Sector 4 at Site 17 at all times when not being tested or studied. I'm not sure why they didn't just say 1 meter cubed. 1023 is to be kept under audio and video surveillance at all times during containment and testing, and Senior Researcher Blank is to be notified anytime this object becomes active. All data the object produces is to be recorded both digitally and physically, and stored within a secure vault on site. If any data the object produces is of risk to the Foundation, it is to be forwarded as soon as possible to the nearest site administrator. Okay, so 1023 is a seismograph of unknown make and manufacture procured by Agent Blank during a raid on Marshall Carter and Dark Limited warehouse in Redacted. The object appears to be composed of an unknown material which resembles glass, but contains traces of elements not normally occurring on Earth. The object has a center post with 3 outlying platforms, which each have 1 roll of paper, 2 electrical motors, and a small pen. One platform of the device measures magnitude of the event in a fashion similar to ordinary seismographs. Another records the location in longitude and latitude, and the final platform records the date and time. The predicted time of the event has shown a deviation of approximately blank minutes. It has been suggested that 1023 is a modified version of a normal seismograph, as the helicopters it possesses are in the normal positions to record motion in the X, Y, and Z directions. Paper is to be regularly supplied when it runs out to prevent missing an event. 1023 is able to record seismic activity from anywhere on Earth. In addition, it is occasionally able to predict seismic activity from the future. Okay. The method of mechanism through which it detects and measures seismic events is unknown. Foundation researchers were able to determine the function of 1023 when a recording from 1023 was discovered to correlate with seismic records of the March 2011 earthquakes in Japan, as well as the aftershocks of said earthquake. It is unknown how 1023 chooses which events to report, as it is not reporting all seismic activity in the world. It is theorized that it only reports those events that are relevant to large amounts of people or to its current owner. Addendum: Recorded Output Event 1. Date: October 18th, 2011. It was a magnitude 6.9 at the India-Nepal border. Event 2 was in 2016, and it was a magnitude 9.2 earthquake in San Francisco. And the third one was magnitude 5.8 someplace near site something. And 4, the date is blacked out, and it says, activity detected from multiple locations within approximately 19 minutes of each other. Numerous large cities and many Foundation sites appear to be locations given by the device. Magnitude varies slightly depending on location. The similarity of readings indicate detonations of warheads rather than natural earthquakes. Natural. Message viewable by level 4 personnel and higher only. SCP-1023's prediction of record amounts of nuclear detonations within a short period on blank 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 is especially worrying given the increasing frequency with which numerous SCPs are predicting an XK class event on dates coinciding with or near this date, including SCP blank blank and blank. All precautions are to be taken regarding containment procedures adherence, and we are to be wary of outside factions as well as uncontained anomalous objects. As far in the future as this date is, it is always best to start preparations early. When you have prior notice of a situation, take advantage of it. Remember, secure, contain, protect. 05 somebody. Okie dokie. Let's see. The basic set. The basic set is also safe. SCP-1024 is kept in a secure locker at Reliquary Containment Site 76 under Standard Level 3 bibliomorphic containment conditions. Access to 1024 is prohibited without Level 3 authorization. Personnel assigned to researching 1024 have standing authorization for access, but must inform their project leader before accessing 1024 and must log all activity related to its use. SCP-1024 is a modified Dungeons & Dragons basic box set, published circa 1981, in nearly new condition, consisting of a rulebook, a module, a catalog, a set of dice, and a crayon. The module is a pre-printed adventure. Although 1024 superficially resembles a standard box set sold at the time, the rulebook and module have had their pages removed and replaced with sheets of vellum and bound using platinum staples. The pages are filled with diagrams and text written in classical Latin using red ink, and the book smells faintly of sulfur. Together, the two books provide basic information with which one can, with sufficient study and practice, invoke a variety of low-power anomalous effects. The rulebook, designated 1024-1, is 64 pages long and contains general information regarding evoking these effects, including the types of material to be used and why, how to choose and prepare a location for invoking these effects, how to prepare the self beforehand, and steps to take in case something goes wrong. The rulebook does not include procedures for invoking any specific effect, however. The module, designated 2, is 32 pages long and contains step-by-step instructions for invoking a variety of effects, based on information found in 1. Anomalous effects that have been successfully invoked using procedures found in 2 include creating a protective circle. It notes that invoking the circle is recommended before performing any other processes. Changing the superficial traits on an object, such as its color or roughness. Changing the ambient temperature slightly, generally by no more than 5 degrees Celsius. Repairing minor damage on an object has sustained. Healing minor injuries. causing a short-lived tactile effect on another person such as an itch or tickle, reading the surface thoughts of another person for brief periods, or causing a small animal no larger than a mouse to spontaneously appear. The book implies that stronger effects can be evoked using information that can be found in a different, more advanced set of books. However, no such volumes have been found. The remaining components of 1024, the catalog, dice, crayon, and box, do not appear to have any anomalous properties. Stronger effects is SCP-2336, and more advanced is GOC Supplemental Thumb Workings. Whatever that means. So all of these are D&D spells. But, let's see. And that brings us to an Encyclopedia of Diseases. Which is, it used to be Keter, but now it's safe. I wonder what happened. Due to its potential as a bioweapon capable of destroying all life on Earth, 1025 is to be kept in an isolated underground vault secured by no fewer than 10 armed guards, to be rotated twice weekly and checked for compromise by infectious agents. The vault should be armed with a thermite mine to be detonated at the first sign of containment breach. Revision: 1025 is to be kept in a passcode secured locker. Further research requires O5 approval. Okay. SCP-1025 is a hardcovered book approximately 1,500 pages long. Laters? I don't know why I was about to say 1,500 laters. The front cover and spine feature the title, The Encyclopedia of Common Diseases. The publisher's page indicates the book was printed in 19-something by Blank Press. No other copies of the book with that title and publisher have been found, and no record of the publisher exists. And the picture of it has the publisher's name redacted. Readers of the book seem to exhibit symptoms of any disease they read about. This effect can take between blank and blank hours to manifest. See test log. Okay, test 1. Subject read entry entitled The Common Cold. They were observed for several hours. Within 2 hours, they got a cough and when asked, claimed to feel slightly achy, though he attributed this to uncomfortable sleeping arrangements. Test 2. Subject read chicken pox. They were observed for several hours. Over the course of an hour, observed to scratch at no fewer than 5 points in her body repeatedly. Subject's medical history indicated she had contracted chickenpox at age 8. Possible evidence that item can override natural immunities noted. Test 3. Subject read entry cancer of the lungs. Observed for several hours. Test was to determine the item's ability to accelerate advancement of illnesses. Subject was observed to cough 4, 10, 6. A significant number of times over the course of hours within a relatively small amount of time. Subject denied feeling any discomfort, but observation of the breathing indicated irregularities. They were terminated and sent for an autopsy, no tumors apparent. We clearly didn't wait long enough, but we all heard the coughs and his wheezing. Test 4. Previous tests repeated, but observed for 7 hours. A lot of coughing and wheezing, far beyond what should be considered normal. They were terminated and sent for autopsy, no tumors apparent. What if the illness vanishes after death, making infection all the more insidious? Same as previous, but sent for vivisection, utilizing data expunged hours before expiring from shock. No tumors. We have to keep trying. Imagine if this were an infectious agent. Imagine if there were more books like this out there. Redundant tests redacted for brevity. In summary, each test used one disposable person who read one entry from the item and was then tested or vivisected in search of signs of infection following reported symptoms. After test 15, research was moved to a dedicated isolated facility in blank blank, staffed by 3 researchers and 2 security. 1 D-class subject delivered as needed to minimize space and ration needs. Test 27. Subject read entry entitled Appendicitis. They had undergone an appendectomy at age 16, observed for 3 days. After 52 hours, subject complained of significant abdominal discomfort. Vivisection performed, no appendix found, but the area where the appendix would normally be looked a few shades more red than it should be, by a general consensus of research staff. Test 28, formerly researcher blank blank. They had developed persistent cough despite never reading 1025 and was placed in observation for 1 week. Results not apparent for 6 days. At 9:30 a.m. on day 7, subject appeared slightly taller than the previous day. Noted as evidence that the item's anomalous properties can cause generation of diseases other than those researched by the victim, and without direct viewing of reading material. Vivisection considered but overruled for the time being. Note, blank got out! The crazy bastard got out somehow! We were so stupid! The addition of height is a classical symptom of SCP-16, adapting to the stress of being confined in that room. Who knows or cares what he was coming down with first? There was a grating on that ceiling, a few more feet of height and a few inches skinnier, and he'd easily fit. He could be up there right now, growing claws and vomiting infected blood everywhere, and taking who knows what other dominant diseases with him. Is SCP-08? 742? Oh god, what if he's come down with 217? Addendum 2. A recovery team was sent to the facility on blankety blank after no contact was made from the facility for 72 hours. Agents found researchers blank and blank sealed in the observation booth, both wearing biological containment suits. Nearly all stored air tanks were depleted. Agent blank was found crawling through the facility's air ducts with sidearm drawn. Researcher blank had locked himself in the barracks with an improvised flamethrower made of aerosol cleaner and a box of matches. Later interview indicated Blank had not climbed into the ducts but simply used his passcode to leave the observation chamber while other researchers were distracted. Agent blank was found dead in a supply closet locked from the inside with several empty bottles of water and ration packages. The door had been given an airtight seal with garbage bags and duct tape. Note: after a careful review of all research on 1025, I'm ordering an immediate evaluation on whoever approved the use of 27 D-class subjects, an isolated facility, and a dedicated underground bunker on this money pit. Not one out of the ordinary infectious agent was found any place this item was tested, and every involved staff member had passed a basic psych exam within the previous year. I have no idea how far up the chain of command this hypochondria by proxy effect can reach, or how it works, and frankly, I see no benefit in learning. Stick it in a box, lock it up, and for God's sake, try not to worry about it. So the 05 person decided that they just lock up the book and it's not Keter anymore, because the book's effect wasn't giving everyone the diseases, it was giving everyone hypochondria about the diseases. And that's why it's safe now. Interesting. So that about does it for this episode of the SCP Foundation Wiki. Someday I'm going to think of a shorter title for this series, but in the meantime, in the next episode we're going to check out someone you know, a carnivorous CNS, I don't know what that means, it might be carnivorous central nervous system, mind warp murmuration, scratch and sniff JPEG, and the anything golem. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you'll need to do either one of those things, and I will see y'all in the next one. Later.